Alright, everybody. It's me, I'm ChillWithEthan, and today I am back with part 2 of What If Naruto Had the Ten Tails. We start where we left off last time, where Kakashi and the rest of Team 7 would be doing D-ranked missions for about a week. Team 7 would then be starting to get mad, mainly for all kinds of reasons. Naruto would be bored because he can't test himself. Sasuke would probably be mad because he can't test himself. And that it is really boring because they have to keep catching literally the same cat every single time. And then Sakura would just be mad because Sasuke is. Kakashi would probably just be bored out of his mind during this entire week. Naruto and Sasuke would both at the same time announce to Hiruzen that they want a higher mission, or at least something that isn't catching a frickin' cat. Seeing how strong Team 7 is, Hiruzen would decide to give them a C-ranked escort mission to protect Tazuna, the bridge builder. Tazuna would be escorted into the room, and Tazuna is sober, so he feels emotions easier. And then he would realize that he senses something scary and powerful about Naruto. So when he was about to complain about being escorted by Genin, he decided to go against that. Tazuna would say that he wants to go as fast as possible, so for the rest of Team 7 to hurry up and grab their items. Team 7 would then leave with Tazuna towards the Land of Waves. Amidst their walk, Naruto would be sensing evil intent, and Kakashi notices a genjutsu, which was a puddle of water on the ground in the middle of a literal scorching day. Suddenly, right after they passed the puddle, the two demon brothers would suddenly appear out of, nowhere, even though they were just behind the trees. Nearly instantly, before anyone can move or utter a word, Naruto ramps up his Jubi chakra and flash steps behind both brothers, kicking them with a insane amount of force, knocking them out on contact. Kakashi would wait for them to wake up, and while they are tied around a tree, Kakashi would do some interrogation, and nearly 3 minutes later they would have all the info that they needed, and they would learn that there might be some stronger foes up ahead along the path. We would time skip about 2 hours later. While they are about to take a break after getting right to the Land of Waves, suddenly a deep, foggy mist would come in, and Tazuna points out that it's much denser than normal. Suddenly, a swinging sound is heard, and Kakashi and Naruto both yell, "Duck!" while both are being slightly surprised at each other's awareness. And they would all dive right before a sword would fly right over their heads. The sword that just flew over their heads would get lodged about halfway into a tree, and suddenly someone would body flicker onto the blade. Kakashi would look up and say, "Well, it's nice seeing you again, Zabuza." However, God dang it, sorry about that. However, Zabuza would reply, "So Kakashi, let's see how many jutsu you've learned with that copying eye of yours." Meanwhile, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura would all be confused in the fact that somehow Kakashi and Zabuza know each other. Sasuke, Kakashi, and Naruto would all be ready for a battle, while Sakura protects Tazuna because she literally has the battle presence of a mosquito. Kakashi would lift his headband and reveal his Sharingan, and then the fight would commence. Interested in seeing what Kakashi could do, Naruto and Sasuke both stay back and watch the fight. However, Kakashi realizes that he hasn't used a Sharingan in a long time, so is putting a very large strain on his body and chakra. Naruto reading this from Kakashi's emotions would tell Kakashi to stand down, while Sasuke gets ready to throw a massive wind shuriken. Sasuke would throw the wind shuriken, and Naruto would enhance his speed and strength with the wind style jutsu, which would most likely be a burst of some sort, such as Gale Palm or something along those lines. This sudden change in speed would catch Zabuza off guard, and he would just barely block it in time with his sword. Meanwhile, the shuriken would go and fly into a tree somewhere elsewhere. Kakashi would put his headband back on to stop wasting chakra, and just as soon as he was about to do a water dragon to finish off Zabuza, a masked person in the Waves Anbu attire would show up, although this would be Haku, but they wouldn't know that, and Haku would body flicker away with the passed out Zabuza. Then we have a time skip of roughly 3 days. Kakashi would wake up after recovering, and he would head outside and go around the back of the house. Although he would find Naruto meditating with a slight aura of chakra around him. Kakashi would realize that he's gaining some of the Jubi's chakra and would continue to let him meditate. Meanwhile, the rest of Team 7 and Tazuna would head down to the bridge a couple of hours later, and a little while after they arrived, the fog returns once more. Tazuna, knowing what to expect, he goes and hides behind Sakura apprehensively. Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke would all get ready to fight when all of a sudden Zabuza and Haku would reveal themselves. Then, all of a sudden, Naruto and Sasuke would both be surrounded by what seems to be like endless mirrors of ice. Haku would come inside the dome of mirrors and start ping-ponging around at speeds not even Naruto is completely able to keep up with at first. But then Naruto would get used to the speed, and Sasuke would use his Sharingan to keep up with the speed. However, Sasuke would see needles coming towards Naruto's back, and not knowing about Naruto's ability to regenerate, would get hit by a ton of Senbon. Naruto would question why, and Sasuke would just say, "I didn't. My body just moved on its own." And then Sasuke would seemingly die, and Naruto would be getting extremely furious. Kakashi and Zabuza would just feel this overwhelming pressure, kind of like how Ryotsu is in Bleach. And for the first time, Naruto would use literal tails of the Jubi, probably 2 of them, and for once Naruto and the Jubi would have the same thought, obliterate. Then Naruto would extremely quickly do the hand signs for Fire-style Fireball Jutsu, and it would create a massive fireball right when Haku went to jump for another mirror. Haku, not having enough time to block or even react, would be slammed by this massive fireball. At the same time, Kakashi sliced Zabuza with a lightning blade. A few minutes later, it is stated that they are both dead, and then an army of mob bosses would arrive, and Naruto would still be in a very furious state. So he would release all of his bloodlust and flash step behind all of the mob bosses, killing each one in what seems to be a near instant. Alright everyone, that concludes part 2 of What If Naruto Had the Jubi, and please everyone, if you could, please like and subscribe, it really helps out my channel, and don't forget to smack that chakra-filled bell icon for when I upload more videos in the future. This is Chill with Ethan, and I'm out. Peace. Remember to always be chill.